Right, so here's our audience, and myself included, and there's Matt.
Okay, thank you guys for being here. I'm going to talk to you guys about my passion, what just makes me excited. You guys know me, you guys know I love reading, and I'm going to just talk about some books in my library. Actually, I conveniently have my library right here. If you could pan over, these are actually all of my books. And as you guys know, I'm a big reader. I love reading, and I just want to talk about some of the different genres that I have acquired over the years that have really expanded my vocabulary and my ways of thinking and my understanding of culture. So I would go ahead and I'd like to start with the first book, actually. It's called Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers. I'm usually not a romantic novel type of guy. It's kind of weird, I know, but this is my second romantic novel. I actually read Notebook. Do not judge me. In high school, I had to do it, but this book actually, it was by choice. I had a friend who was reading it, and she said, man, this book is great. Like, I really do enjoy this book. So for a while I thought about it, and I ended up thinking, you know, I'm going to give it a shot. It's a big book, so at first I was kind of like, ooh, like what am I taking on? But, you know, to give you a little bit of the background of what the story is, it's based around the times of 1850, so it's during the gold rush, and you know, men were finding gold, and what they would do with their gold, usually squander on alcohol and women. And so the story takes place in that time period, and our main character is a man named Jose, and the other main character is a woman who is a prostitute, her name is Angel. And so you meet Jose, and he's a righteous farmer. The first time you meet him, he's out on his farm, and you see as he goes into town to sell his crops, that's when he first sees Angel, who the Lord, because he has a relationship with the Lord, tells Jose, I want you to marry her. And he goes, I mean, like, she's pretty, but she's a prostitute. And so you can see here, this is actually based off of a book in the Bible, which a prophet was told to marry a prostitute. And so it's a book that's based off the Bible. It's a nail-biting book, in my honest opinion, because there are so many scenarios where I'm like, what is going to happen? I mean, I don't know what is going on, and it is very suspenseful. But in the end, I gotta say, it's everything comes together, and you can see like all the different allegories of Scripture, and it was just amazing. And it was a great book. The second book I'm actually going to talk about is probably one of my favorite books of all time. Literally, I'm a huge fantasy guy, and J.R.R. Tolkien, The Return of the King, just the absolute man. When it comes to immaculate character development, I've never seen better in any book ever in the history of the world. My personal opinion, which is right. Yeah, I got you. So what I see in this book from the beginning to the end, the first book to the last book, you know, really what you see is the other guys, they're Aragorn and Legolas and Gimli, they're like all awesome and they're killing everything. But the themes of the Lord of the Rings really revolves around friendship and love. And what you can see is by the third book, the hobbits, who were always getting in trouble, they really sucked at staying out of trouble. By the third book, you know, they were heroes, they were warriors, they were knowledgeable of not only their culture, but different cultures. It was interesting to see their development from you know, boys to more men. And by the end of the third book, I'm sorry, I don't really spoil it, but if you didn't, you know, if you haven't read them, you probably won't for a while, so I won't tell you all the details, but by the end of the third book, you see that something called the Scoring of the Shire, when the hobbits come back, and sure enough, while they were away, people have come and taken over the Shire, a band of ruffians. And so you see the four hobbits rise to action, assemble the other hobbits, and get rid of the ruffians. And it's my favorite moment, because you see those hobbits go from just dumb little boys that always get in trouble to heroes. And it's amazing, that kind of character development in a book. And that's what I truly love and cherish in every book that I read. The third book is actually a military nonfiction history book. It's Outlaw Platoon by Sean Parnell. This book, I gotta admit, it's not really in the books I usually read for many reasons. One of them being that there's just so many F words. There's a lot of expletives and cuss words, which I'm just, no, there's no way you can get me to read it. I'm not a fan of it. But I decided that when I bought this book, I want to read it so I can educate myself and learn about what happened overseas when I was in high school. It happened in 2006 and 2007 is when these events happened. And it's about a commander who is commanding his, I think it was 30 to 40 troops in his platoon, outlaw platoon, and what happened to him and to his platoon, and some of the scenarios they went through and the engagement with the different cultures, because it's based around their experiences of the Pakistan and Afghanistan border. And so that's really what that book is about. And the last book that I'm going to talk about is called I Promise, which is a marriage and relationship book. Some of you guys know I'm big on these books, and it's for a reason. My favorite promise in this book, there are 5 of them, but I just want to really highlight one promise in this book. It talks about conforming your beliefs to God's truth, and it talks about how you change what you think about your significant other, and even friends, for that example, to the truth of God. And it's kind of saying, let's say my wife, I think my wife, let's say I'm married 5 years from now, and I believe personally, I have the subconscious or conscious belief that my wife doesn't know how to handle money. She's always wanted to go out on dates. She's always wanted to spend money. She always wants to go to the movies. And subconsciously, or even consciously, I'm thinking in my mind, why does she always want to spend money? She doesn't know how to budget. When in reality, what she's really doing is she just wants to spend time with me. She just wants to hang out. She just wants to make memories. But my belief about her is she doesn't know how to spend money. When the real truth is, she just wants to be with me. And so that's what happens when you project your false conscious or subconscious beliefs onto other people. And when you change those, it radically changes not only your relationship, but your friendships. And so, as you guys can see, I'm very passionate about my books, and because they help me learn of different cultures, they help me learn better of our culture and how I can relate to people of all ages and all cultures and all nationalities. So thank you guys for listening, and I hope that I inspired you.